2 a.m. and I've been working on my assignment since I got home from uni at 6. It's not quite done yet, but I can barely see the screen. Wait, did I eat dinner? That's okay, I'll just eat at breakfast. I have work at 7. Will I have time to eat? It's okay, I'll just go to sleep now and I'll figure it out in the morning. So I rock up to work the next day, exhausted and hungry. My boss looks at me and he says, "Wow, you look really tired." So he hands me a coffee. "You better fuel up on these," he says. "We're going to be pretty busy today." Good on you for coming in though. You're a great asset to the team. Sound familiar? Now, let's just imagine a different way that we can approach our lives. Belinda knows that she has an important project due today, so she decides to wake up 30 minutes earlier than she normally does. Not to work on her project, but rather to do all the little things that many of us simply ignore or don't do. While waiting for her eggs to cook, she sips her coffee and looks out the window. She likes to watch the little nesting birds in the tree outside. When it's time to leave for work, she allows an extra 10 minutes to walk to the train station. She likes to walk slower, to feel the sun on her face, reach up to touch the leaves and breathe in the fresh morning air. Now, those are two very different ways that we can approach our working lives. The first story I told you was about hustle culture and the detriment it can have on our mental health and on our well-being. The second story, Belinda's story, demonstrated the power of romanticizing our lives. Romanticizing our life doesn't mean doing anything big or extraordinary. It's simply finding little moments of mundane magic in our everyday. We probably don't think that Belinda has achieved much in these little achievements, but really, she has found a way where she can still do what she needs to do while keeping herself sane in the process. So, what is hustle culture? I'm sure that most, if not all of us, have experienced it at some point in our lives. Hustle culture is when we judge our worth by our productivity. It's this idea that we must be productive about 101% of the time to be considered a valuable human. It's filling our schedules with so many random commitments like coffee dates with friends or soccer training 4 nights a week that we burn out. Now, it may not come as a surprise to you, but this culture of toxic productivity is just that, toxic. Studies have even shown that hustle culture has been linked to sleep deprivation, stress disorders, and just total burnout. And worse, this culture is something that we celebrate. About 2 months ago, I probably had one of the biggest breakdowns of my student life. I had a draft due the next day, which I hadn't started. I had a quiz in 2 days' time, which I hadn't begun to study for, and 4 assignments all due within the next fortnight, which again, I had not started. Now, this breakdown had been building up for a while. For weeks, I felt like I wasn't allowed to do anything other than the things I should be doing. And I felt guilty even just doing things to take care of myself, like eating. So a lot of the time I didn't eat. And I felt guilty going to the gym or taking care of my dog. So a lot of the time I didn't do those things either. But I also couldn't bring myself to do the work because I was so overwhelmed, which just made it worse. So I kept not eating, I kept not taking care of my dog, and I kept not exercising. And I got so caught up in all the little things that I wasn't doing that I didn't stop to appreciate the things I was. Like the times I did feed myself, or when I took myself on walks, or when I spent time with the people I love, because by so many societal standards, those aren't the things that matter. And it felt impossible to do anything else to those things that I should have been doing, even just showering. Self-care should never feel impossible. We shouldn't have to feel like we must be doing big, important things all the time. So why can't we just appreciate our lives for what they are now? And why can't we appreciate ourselves for what we can do now? Why are we always rushing off to the next big thing? I'm a disability support worker, and the girl I care for, Sophia, finds joy in the smallest and most everyday things. She's a teenager, but she doesn't really care about any of the things you'd expect of a teenage girl. She doesn't care about what she looks like, only being comfortable. And she doesn't care about her weight, only about pasta and cheese and butter and chocolate. She can't really produce spoken words, and her mobility is quite limited. Sometimes people ask Sophia to be different. They ask her to work, simply for the sake of working. And it just makes me think, why? Why can't Sophia just enjoy all the little things she can do, instead of us putting pressure on her to do the things she can't? I want you to imagine trying to climb out of the back seat of a 3-door car. This may not seem like a big deal to us. It may take us an extra 10 seconds to climb out of a 3-door car rather than a 5-door car. But with Sophia, it can genuinely take 10 minutes of us pushing her and pulling her and trying to convince her to climb through the middle to the front seat. But when she does get out, it's like she just ran 3 marathons in a row. And she will talk about it for hours and sometimes even days afterwards. And she will give herself a big high five and cheer herself on every time she mentions it. Because Sophia finds joy in the things she can do, not the things she can't. She's always learning, but mostly she's just happy in being herself. And that's what people love about her. We are told that we can be happy after the next big thing. We are told that we can relax and have fun after the next big thing. Why? Why are we only allowed to be happy if we achieve something extraordinary? I want you to think back to the story I told you at the start about Belinda. Belinda deliberately carved time out of her day to do the things she loved. Some of us may think that she didn't do a lot in this time, but really she has. First, she still made her train on time and put herself in a happy and relaxed mindset to work on her project for the rest of the day. Second, she made herself a nourishing breakfast to fuel her throughout her day and help her in maintaining a positive attitude. And third, and arguably the most important, she gave herself permission not to work on her project, and instead just to do the things that fulfilled her. Now, some of us may be thinking that this doesn't really achieve much, that she was wasting time, or that she was slacking off. But studies have actually shown that in doing these small things and acknowledging them as achievements, Belinda's brain is releasing dopamine, or the happy hormone. Dopamine is the chemical in our brains that allows us to feel achievement and reward. And in feeling these emotions of happiness and reward, our brain is triggered to repeat the action that caused the release of dopamine in the first place, which in Belinda's case was achieving. So, how can we be more like Belinda? How can we stop being a victim to hustle culture? Well, first, I want you to pick one thing that you can do each and every day before you even get your morning started. It doesn't have to be big or extraordinary. Personally, I like to write in my journal every day before I even get out of bed. Some people choose to make their bed first thing in the morning. By achieving one small thing before we do anything else, our brains release dopamine, which makes us want to keep achieving things as our day goes on. Next, I want you to make a list with a few things that you know you will do and that you want to do, like making your coffee or brushing your teeth. Next, I want you to add in a few things that you kind of don't really want to do, like sending a work email or an invoice. By mixing the things that we do and don't want to do in the same list, our brain associates the harder tasks with being more achievable, which makes us want to do them more. And finally, I want you to pick one thing that you can do every single day that is just for you. Again, it doesn't have to be big or impressive. It can just be working in your veggie garden, or playing your favourite instrument, or even just watching your favourite TV show at the end of the night. But I want you to make time for this thing, because more than anything, it's important that we can wake up every single day with something to look forward to.